Hey everyone, this is Catherine. I am a student from Buffalo, New York, and I am supporting Congressman Ron Paul for president in 2012. I completely support Ron Paul's position on Israel, and I think there's a lot of misinformation out there regarding Ron Paul's stance on this issue, so hopefully I can clear it up for some people who have been led to believe things that simply are not true. It is true that Ron Paul wants to cut foreign aid to Israel, and this is the evidence that people often point to when they wrongly accuse him of being an anti-Semite. This logic is completely faulty. It's not like Ron Paul is cherry-picking which countries should receive foreign aid from the United States based on whether they've been a friend or an ally to us historically. He wants to cut foreign aid across the board. In May 1948, the United Nations declared Israel a sovereign state, independent from the Palestine Mandate. 60 years later, you would think that Israel would be exercising its sovereignty and be making its own decisions. However, the United States seems to be dictating much of what Israel does and plays a very active role in settling Israeli disputes. I support Ron Paul's belief that Israel should be settling its own disputes. I had a hard time finding data on how much the US actually gives to Israel each year, and I didn't want to say numbers unless I knew that they were absolutely accurate, but it is in the billions per year. I did find that in Obama's budget request to Congress for the 2011 fiscal year, he asked for $3 billion in military aid to Israel, which was up $225 million from the previous year. Ron Paul believes that Israel would actually be better off if they were less dependent on the United States. This has nothing to do with the fact that he's pro-Israel or anti-Israel or any of that other rhetoric that people seem to use when discussing this issue. Just because you're against funding something doesn't mean that you're against the thing itself. Let's apply this logic to something else. Ron Paul is against funding the Department of Education. This doesn't mean that he's against education. I often hear the argument that we should continue to funnel massive amounts of money into Israel because they are an ally and a friend, and in any type of international conflict, they would throw their support behind us. This logic seems a little backwards to me, though. Of course they would throw their support behind us because they're so financially dependent on us. They wouldn't really have a choice. They would be obligated to side with us because we have the power of the purse over them. This isn't exactly the most voluntary of alliances. There are a lot of strings. Also, I think it should be noted that the United States has trillions of dollars in debt, and although the Federal Reserve System allows us to print endless amounts of money to just give away to foreign countries, our irresponsible budgeting is not going to be sustainable for much longer, and our problems at home are going to go unaddressed. This is a very dangerous situation. Like Ron Paul, just because I'm against giving U.S. foreign aid to Israel does not make me an anti-Semite. I am not an anti-Semite, so please don't accuse me of being one. If you like what I have to say, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, like this video, and repost it. Check out my other videos. You can follow me on Twitter, check out my blog. All the links are down in the info section. Thank you for watching, and please vote for Ron Paul in 2012.